Okay, I have already gotten one pocket done on these trousers. Can you see that even? Not quite. Okay. I've already got one pocket done on these trousers. Here's the inside with the pocket bag, which is the lining right here. I went ahead and put this gimp braid on it just to give it a little bit of interest in through here. And what I've done for the time being, I have basted all of this onto the front of the pant. Just for now. I'll take all that basting stitch out later. But I wanted to make sure that it was flat. Also what I did, because a gimp braid is just that, it's a braid. It's cording that has been braided together. And this particular gimp braid, let's see if you can see that or not. Let me get it back over here. There. See, it's just basically like a ponytail braid. 2 cords. It's just 2 cords and 3 sections, and it's just braided. But the point is, if you don't treat the ends, it'll come unbraided. Now, you can, I went ahead and glued it and stitched it with my hand. Did some hand stitching right here. And I'll probably go ahead and sew another line right here, just to catch that in right there. Same thing at the top. I'm not quite dry on my glue up here, so I'm leaving it alone. But let's go ahead and add this other side. Okay, here's the way your pants will look before you start adding your pocket. Okay, what you're going to want to do is to get your lining piece, your pocket bag, and you're going to go right sides together right along this opening here. Let's get some pins in there. Take it right down to the bottom here. Yeah, it's one of my long hairs. Kind of work it around here. Alright, now let's sew. We are needing to go up to a stitch length instead of a basting length. Now anybody who watches my videos knows that I don't have much room to work with. All I have is this little desk here. Eventually I'll spring for a sewing table. Now, because I'm going to be adding my waistband up here, and I will trim, once I add my waistband, I will trim this seam allowance here down. I don't want to back tack right at the edge because that's going to get cut off. So I'm going to go probably a 1/2 inch down and do a second back tack. So we're going to do a back tack at the top just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to go down. Take that pin out. Straighten myself out. Go down and just do another back tack right around there. Now just give it a little bit of a tug. Get down to the next pin. See how I'm kind of holding it down here? You just want to keep a little bit of tautness. And you're going to go down to there. Okay, that's all done. Now, what we're going to do next is to trim this seam allowance. Where's my scissors? Okay. Easiest way to do this without having to do it twice, take it down about 1/4 inch on the inside and the outside. The whole thing. Take the whole seam allowance down by about 1/4 inch. Try not to get too far off that mark. And then, because we are grading our seam allowance, we need to get in here a little bit closer and braid down just the lining. So lay it flat, get your scissor in there, and then just kind of let it be raised up by the blade of your scissor. then you'll get about an 1/8 inch seam allowance. This works just like a pair of those duckbill scissors, the little small ones that have that little flange flap thing. This serves the same purpose when you turn your scissors sideways. Okay, that seam is all braided. I could go press it if I wanted to, but this actually lays down fairly easy so I can do my understitch. And we're going to put our needle position on the left, and right here is the outside of my presser foot, right here. But I also have a ridge, a little mark right here, and that's the mark I'm going to use to position this joining of these two fabrics so that I can get a very close stitch to the edge, and that's going to allow me to turn that under very easily and precisely. So let's go. Yeah, might need to start a little bit closer here. Do a couple of back tacks. This is not as important to get the 2 back tacks in unless you really just want to keep in practice doing that. Now see how close that is? You might not be able to see that there. I'll get it in closer here in a minute. Okay. Now we need to go press this, and then we're going to attach the braid. So I'm going to pause you for a minute, and I'm going to take you over the ironing board. Okay, here we are at the ironing board. First thing we're going to do, let me readjust you here. We're going to press it flat. That's going to set our stitches in. I brought my tape over because I need it for my gimp. Just kind of give it a flat press. I would press toward from the fashion fabric side because you're going to want that the flattest. Now, normally, in a different type of fabric, I might have done an interfacing right along this line, but this is fairly heavy, so I didn't think I'd need it. Alright, now let's go to the wrong side, position this, and press it flat. We want to get as close to that seam line as possible. Now watch out for your fingers here too. Now you can just roll it on the edge as you go and give it a little press, a little steam. Yeah, I have to pull my glasses down. Okay. That looks good. It's lining up down here. It's lining up. It'll go a little bit high over there. That we already know. All right. That looks pretty good. Let's put a couple of pins in just to keep it in position. We'll move these to the other side in a little bit. I just want to keep it flat. Okay, I think that'll work. Maybe one more here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's go to the right side, and we're going to start positioning our gimp. Now, I determined that there really was no right or wrong side to this gimp, so it really doesn't matter where you start placing it. Right now, what I'm going to do reposition that first of all, Okay, what I'm going to do right now is just do a pin stab to see how much gimp I need. So I'm just going to start stabbing in some of these holes in the gimp and bring it around this pocket opening. Now when I start sewing this by hand, I found that it's easier. I can do some pinning on it, but it's actually easier for me just to do the whole thing by hand and not have any anchoring of the gimp to the fabric and just do it by feel. I have found in my later years of sewing that there is a certain elegance in your hand stitching. The better you are at hand stitching, the better your garments are. Now, I'm not saying I'm good at hand stitching because I'm really not that good. I just stitch. I don't know what the names of stitches are. I don't know the techniques for particular stitches. I just start stitching. Okay, so I need another pair of scissors. We're going to cut our gimp right about right here. So let me get my tape and put it on there, and we'll cut in the middle of the tape. Okay, I'll put my tape right around here. Now let me get my green scissors. It's going to be easier to cut it with my green scissors. I bought these green, and it was a 3-set pack. Pair of shears, longer shears, these, and then another smaller pair. And I got green because I gave the smaller pair to my son, and he wouldn't have liked purple. So I compromised and got green because he liked green. Anyway, I don't like them. I thought maybe I could use the really long shears for cutting out fabric instead of my gingers. No, it didn't work. Not at all. So now they're regaled down to paper and crafts. They'll do well enough for that. Usually I use this particular length of scissor for cutting out my patterns once I've printed them on my printer over here. Now we're going to be sewing this gimp on. Single thread, regular sewing thread, single strand. Okay, now you can feel down here where this edge is. If you use your finger, you can line your gimp up perfectly. Let's bring it up just a tad, and then I'm going to start on the outside. And what I'm going to do is to go in to each of these braid sides. You know, when the triple braid, the triple strand goes to the outside, I'm going to take each of those outside braid parts of the braid and put a tack stitch down on it. I'm trying to catch both of those loops, both of those cordings that they used. Take that pin out because it's going to get in my way. You could just catch one cord and that would be fine, but just do a tack stitch. Line it up, go to the next one, go in and then do a tack. No one's going to see the thread that you drag from one to the next. No one's going to even notice that. And just get a couple of strands of the fabric. I say I don't know what these stitches are called, but that might be correct actually. Just a tack stitch. Line it up on the edge and keep on going. Now I'm not going to talk anymore, I don't think. And I'll probably speed this up so you all don't have to sit and watch 20 minutes of me stitching. That's going to be boring as hell. I know I wouldn't want to watch it. So I think I'll just shut up for a while and get this done, let the camera run, and then I'll process it and speed this part up. Press it and don't get near your tape. Alright, next thing we have to do, now I've already put a pin in the wrong side. What we're doing now, kept that flat. This is going wrong sides together. And you're just going to match it up. This is your pocket bag. You're just going to match it up along this bottom. And if you did your alterations right, it should match up. Just don't forget, when you have to add to the side seam, you've also got to readjust your pockets. I should have probably mentioned that earlier when I was explaining. I might go back and put a little annotation in on that video now that I think about it. Let's cut a little bit square so that's matched. We'll go over to the sewing machine here in just a second. Sew this, trim it. With the pinking shears, I've decided to pink. Okay, that doesn't get in there. It's just right here. All right, let's go over to the sewing machine. I'll pause you for a second. Okay. Let's get over here and sew this pocket together. Make sure you do not get anything else other than this side of the pocket whenever you're stitching it together. Now I'm on my left center because I understitched. So always check your needle position before you start sewing. Now you don't have to do your double back tack on this unless you just want to. Now carefully round it out. Now up here you are going to stop. Let me get this flat. Just stop right about here and then go here. Don't work as well as they used to. I will be a sad person if there comes a day where my hands don't work well enough to sew. I will be sad indeed. Now let's kind of pink this. Now I've got this little OCD thing to try and match up my pinks so it looks like it's one continuous cut. But that's just me. And I might get tired of it here in a second and just say to heck with it and just pink. But it does look better as one continuous cut. Although I don't think anyone's really going to go and inspect my pinking, are they? So let's just cut. Okay? Yeah. Let's just cut. Now I'm only cutting about 1/4 to 1/8 inch off. I'm not really making a lot of reduction in this. Simply because it is a fraying fabric. And I don't want the pocket to fray out. I want it to have a lot of room, just in case that doesn't help it spray. Okay, now that's that. Now what we have to do here, and I'll have to move my machine out of my way. We need to lay this flat and pin the side. What did I do? Goodness. Now I can fix that. That's not a problem. That got folded up in there. Take it out and fold it, and then we can fix it without having to restitch that. If I can see